Good evening and many thanks for joining us live on QTV. You are watching QTV News and I am Ajibintu Drame. In tonight's top stories. After a very long session on Thursday, the National Assembly passed the appropriation bill, which, among other things, proposed a revision of the 2022 budget and a salary increment for civil servants. The General Legal Council of the Supreme Court of the Gambia enrolled 45 legal practitioners on Friday at the High Court complex in Banjul. The National Environmental Agency (NEA) has announced the immediate ban on the importation, sale and use of sniper insecticides in the Gambia. In another public health safety related matter, the Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority calls on stakeholders and international partners to support the government in strengthening the FSQA in enforcing food safety laws. And in sports, after a spectacular opening ceremony of the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games on Thursday night, the Gambia was one of the 72 countries and territories on parade. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, on a Thursday, the National Assembly passed the appropriation bill, which, among other things, proposed a revision of the 2022 budget and a salary increment for civil servants. On the same day, NAMS ratified 2 loans agreement. Mobdula Michoy reports.
The fourth item on the order paper was the estimates of revenue and expenditure, which was debated at plenary, scrutinized at the Committee of Supply, and approved with amendments. In accordance with the legislative process, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Sidi Keta, introduced an appropriation amendment bill for the revised budget, which underwent detailed scrutiny from first to third readings and was passed with amendments. All but the National Assembly, National Audit Office, the Judiciary and IEC budgets have been revised to reflect the new expenditure policies of government, including the 30% salary increment for civil servants. After the passing of the Appropriation Amendment Bill, the Finance and Economic Affairs Minister tabled a motion for the ratification of 2 loan agreements. The 2 loan agreements are jointly considered by the NAMS. This comes after the signing of an over $19 million loan agreement between the Gambia government and the Kuwaiti Fund for Development for the widening of the Badil Harding Highway. This project is expected to enhance transportation and economic activity and is set to be completed by the end of 2024. The second loan agreement for ratification is for $7 million between the Gambia government and the Islamic Development Bank to fund phase 2 of the construction of the University of the Gambia Faraba campus. The project to which it relates is expected to last for 18 months. When completed, it is expected to provide a conducive learning environment for improved quality higher education. These 2 loan agreements have been debated by National Assembly members, with almost all expressing support. The legislatures pledged to utilize their oversight role to keep track of the implementation process. Almami Jiba and Bileji Tunkara are National Assembly members for Fonyi Councillor and Kantora respectively.
2 important bills of this nature will not be left behind, and we will support it, but we will support with conditions, and we put this case to the monitoring team of the National Assembly Select Committee that we will be following you, and you will also follow the relevant authorities to see that these projects are successful, and if they fail, we've all failed woefully. Thank you very much.
I think our members would bear me or believe in me that this loan, if properly utilized, would really actually yield dividends and catapult this country to the higher height.
It's morally imperative that government will not take money and not put it to good use. By default, I'm sure you all trust us. That's why we are in the positions that we are in, and will ensure that the resources are put to the best use.
Following the debate and ratification, the loans can come into effect for implementation of the intended projects. In the coming years, Gambians look forward to reaping the positive benefits of the projects from loans taken on behalf of and funded by taxpayers. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The General Legal Council of the Supreme Court of the Gambia enrolled 45 legal practitioners on Friday at the High Court complex in Banjul, with the Chief Justice of the Gambia, Hassan B. Jallow, in attendance. Omar P. Jallow reports.
The General Legal Council is a statutory body established under the Legal Practitioners Act and is chaired by the Chief Justice of the Gambia, Hassan B. Jallow, and regulates the legal profession, particularly admission of legal practice, upholding standards of professional conduct, and provide for legal education in the country. Saliu Tal, the president of the Gambia Bar Association, welcomed the new entrants and encouraged them to be ethical and intellectually independent, urging them to never lose sight of their professional ethics, irrespective of the status of the client. Mr. Fall advised the entrants to continue respecting the rule of law and safeguard the Constitution.
Today, one of the greatest opportunities and threats to the future of the bar is the advent of information technology, particularly social media. On one hand, technology has enabled us to work and collaborate much faster and efficiently. On the other hand, we have seen how social media is impacting every facet of our lives, and the legal profession is not an exception. We have seen in recent times how cases become sensationalized, and the court of Facebook Republic directing populist narratives, potentially exposing and endangering judges and lawyers and undermining confidence in the administration of justice.
Hussein Tomasi, the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary, representing the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, encouraged the new entrants to be committed to society and make themselves available to national duty to improve the standards of delivery of legal and competent service to the public. He further urged the entrants to respect the core values of the profession and to remember that they are in positions of trust that they should not abuse.
Today's enrollment has increased the number of legal practitioners enrolled in the Gambia from 438 to 483. I wish to take this opportunity to welcome the new lawyers to the profession. The legal profession, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is a noble one and as well a very conservative one.
Hassan B. Jallow, the Chief Justice of the Gambia, congratulated the entrants, urging them to work within the professional code of conduct to be legal professionals. He says their primary duty is to promote the proper administration of the law, maintenance of the rule of law, and the well-being of the court. He advised them to be constantly reading the laws of the land and always engage with their seniors to avoid making mistakes.
It's important to remember that this is a noble profession, a profession which is dedicated to truth, to justice, and that what will enhance your reputation will be your reputation for honesty, integrity, and your dedication to truth and justice.
Mohammed Dean, who delivered the vote of thanks on behalf of the new entrants, has this advice for them.
To always endeavor to uphold the law to the utmost.
The General Legal Council is also mandated by virtue of the Legal Practitioners Act to arrange for a system of legal education, select the subjects in which those seeking to qualify for enrollment are to be examined, establish the courses of instruction for students, and regulate the admission of students. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallow.
Well, congratulations to them. Moving on. Following consultations with stakeholders, the National Environmental Agency, NEA, announced at a press conference on Friday the immediate ban on the importation, sale, and use of sniper insecticides in the Gambia. Ali Sisi reports.
The announcement followed a public outcry on the misuse of sniper by fish smokers to preserve the fish product. In 2019, there was a moratorium on the importation, distribution, sales, and use of sniper insecticide product. This was followed by another ban on 22nd April 2022 with a grace period of 6 months effective 31st October 2022. While this was being observed, disturbing reports emerged that fish vendors and processors were using this harmful insecticide to preserve fish products. This was confirmed by the Food Safety and Quality Authority after samples and analysis on fish products across major fish landing sites and markets were conducted, which confirmed a high presence of sniper. Dr. Dauda Baji, Executive Director of the National Environmental Agency, says the decision is necessary to ensure public and environmental safety.
This decision affects importation, warehousing, stockpiling, distribution, sales, and use of the product in this country. Consequently, all businesses and individuals are hereby warned to cease importation, distribution, sales, and use of the product with immediate effect. The general public is warned that all activities stipulated herein and any activities otherwise will be in breach of the law and therefore shall face the undesirable consequences that come with it.
The NEA will work with law enforcement officers to withdraw sniper on sale in the markets and to ensure the ban is enforced effectively. The public is urged to support this cause by reporting any suspected activity relating to the sale and use of the product. Mamadouba, Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority, said the samples collected for verification of the presence of sniper in our smoked fish could not be traced to an individual, and as a result, there will not be a prosecution.
Now, going forward, that we know that it's happening, of course, anybody that we find in possession of placing unsafe food as per Section 37 of the Food Safety Act, we will be prosecuting you. So this is what we will do. But also we are not only stopping at that, we are also having a risk communication strategy, which we develop again with the same stakeholders. So this strategy is what we are going to use to address with all those that are active in the fish in the fish business.
The NEA has impounded cartons of sniper insecticide which are currently stored awaiting proper disposal. The NEA promises to continue making inspections as there may still be more in the markets. Anyone found guilty of violating the law in relation to this ban is liable to various penalties, including a fine not exceeding $30,000 or a jail term not exceeding 3 years. Given the health concerns, the public will be interested in monitoring any sniper-related arrest or prosecutions. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
And from that story, we will go for a commercial break. Still to come, we have more stories, to stay tuned.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, will on Saturday, July 30th, lay the foundation stone for the construction of the University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology. The establishment of USET by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology sits positively within the government's educational transformation agenda aimed at providing quality and relevant tertiary and higher education to Gambians. To kickstart this USET charter, the Gambia is harnessing the gains of the ACE 1 project and the opportunities accorded by the World Bank in the ACE Impact to establish an emerging center of excellence on science, technology and engineering for entrepreneurship at the Gambia Technical Training Institute. This emerging center will deliver degree programs and serves as the first phase of the GTTI transformation into the University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology.
Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. Now, the Director General of Food Safety and Quality Authority, Mamadouba, has called on stakeholders and international partners to support the government in strengthening the authority in the authority in enforcing food safety laws. He was speaking at the opening of a two-day National Stakeholder Consultative Forum. More in this report by Ansumane Sonyasi.
With the FSQA anticipating the institution of a comprehensive national framework, stakeholders and development partners are meeting to review the draft policy once again. Over the next 2 days, they are expected to analyze and give recommendations for what will become the country's first ever all-inclusive national instrument to strengthen the authority. However, Mamadou Ba, Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority, says for this to happen, government will need the support of all stakeholders. He thanks UNIDO and other partners for supporting them in the development of what will become the country's main guiding policy document on food safety and related matters.
The Gambia is fortunate to have it a statutory body. Other countries are really struggling to have some degree of stakeholder consultation. But I think the founders of this very body, which is the Food Safety and Quality Authority, have put some considerate thought in the food control, in an effective food control system by having a stakeholder consultative forum.
On behalf of the Vice President, the Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Office of the Vice President, Ramusar, says government welcomes stakeholders' review of this important national framework and urges them to critically scrutinize the document and produce one that will help address challenges in the sector.
The adoption and implementation of this national food safety policy is expected to strengthen a robust, effective and efficient food control system in the country.
Dr. Desta Teruni, WHO representative, and Lumana Kamashi, EU representative, respectively, spoke on the importance of this 2 days convergence and emphasized their organization's commitment to supporting government in developing a framework that will address problems around food safety issues in the Gambia.
An estimated 600 million, almost 1 in 10 people in the world, fall ill after eating contaminated food, and 420,000 die every year, resulting in a loss of 33 million healthy life years lost.
The reality is that food safety and quality, or lack of it, is still a challenge for several countries across the world, especially for developing countries, where there is a need for continuous effort to build capacity in order to ensure the conformity of national and imported products.
Stakeholders are also expected to reconstitute the dormant FSQA Stakeholders Forum, which will consist of representatives of organizations and groups with a valid interest in food and food safety. Answane Sonyasi for QTV News.
The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology and representatives from its line institutions began a 2-day sector retreat on Monday and concluded on Tuesday to develop a strategy for financing higher education in the Gambia. Omar Pejalo has more.
Ibrahim Assal, the Executive Director of Trust Africa, said these reforms are to ensure the provision of high-quality education and training, thus producing competent and skilled graduates, and providing the efficient and effective utilization of resources within the tertiary and higher education sector.
In the way the allocation of our public resources is made, higher education should be among the priorities. I think that is the starting point. So the example is set by the government and by the state to begin with, and then we bring in all the other resources that we can mobilize. And it is doable.
Alhaji S. Dabo, the minority leader at the National Assembly, said the retreat could not have come at a better time than now, as the next budget will be presented to them in a few months for consideration and approval. Honorable Dabo urged the ministry to plan and continue lobbying for more scholarships to cater for underprivileged students.
Learning without equipment at the level of the university would be a product, paper production, rather than meaningful knowledge acquirement. So in this case, if we are to plan, I would rather advise for more focus to be on the aspect of equipping the university to put the university at a perspective for students to meaningfully learn the knowledge that they will acquire theoretically.
For the Higher Education Minister, Professor Per Gomez, the government through his ministry is committed to developing its human capital, adding that after 57 years of independence, the higher education sector is still not in its rightful position, hence the country's underdevelopment. thus the need to match the funding with the aspirations of the Gambian people.
We have money coming in millions in this country, with a lot of projects on paper approved by the National Assembly and so on, loans and so on, in millions of dollars. But then people are not feeling it. Why? Because there is a structural problem. We did not come up with a system of containment where we will have the right people, the right technicians, Gambians for that matter, who will be the one to do the job, therefore to be paid, and the money will stay, and they will enjoy, their families will enjoy, their neighbors, the nation in general will enjoy. But what is happening is, at the end of the day, is the non-Gambians who will be the engineers. And we paid the money. They will now take it back to their countries. Yet still on paper, the Gambia has received millions of dollars. It's a structural problem. There's only one answer. That is education. Higher education can fix that.
Education officials believe that the successful implementation of these transformation programs will contribute positively towards the achievements of our national development aspirations of creating employment, reducing poverty, and ensuring sustainable socio-economic growth and development. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
The Bekanyang organization, with support from the Netherlands Embassy in Senegal, on Wednesday concluded 3-day training on climate change reporting for over 25 journalists in the Upper River region. Alhaji A.F. Jallo attended the closing ceremony and he now reports.
The capacity building training is designed to deepen participating journalists' understanding of increasingly complex climate change and other environmental issues, enabling their work to support public discourse and promote informed policy dialogue on issues relating to climate change in the Gambia. Speaking at the event, Famara Jaune, the executive director of Bekanyang organization, emphasized the need to promote environmental journalism and highlight the role of media in bringing environmental issues to the forefront. He added that Bekanyang's current climate change project in Wuli, URR, is about awareness creation through traditional knowledge.
It's a one-year project funded by the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands in Senegal to combat climate change in Wuli using traditional knowledge. But again, there's a component of the project that has to do with building the capacity of journalists in Upper River region. We know that we don't have enough journalists in Wuli, but the journalists in URR in general reports on issues happening all over the Upper River region. So they can always cover issues in any part of URR, and that is why we have this activity to train the community journalists in URR to report on issues relating to climate change.
Alassana Kamara, the president of URR Journalists Association, admonished the participants to utilize the knowledge gained during this training and engage the public in their different media platforms. He also appealed for capacity building programs for journalists in URR.
Climate change is a critical condition facing humanity today. So training the journalists and the young coming journalists is very, very important for the public. Most of us radio presenters. To training the media will help them disseminate the information of the climate change. We'll also appeal to other stakeholders, especially the human rights areas, so that they also try and have that MOU with the URR General Association, so that they also train the journalists here in Basse.
On behalf of the participant, Fodemane, a journalist from the Upper River region, highlighted the importance of the training.
Journalists like us who are here based in URR, it is important to go out there to speak to these farmers and also to talk to the communities to know what are the causes of these issues, understand, to bring issues of climate change, what is causing climate change itself, and what is the impact of climate change, what is climate change having on us. So I think journalists have a role, and this training like this is telling us what can we do when it comes to reporting climate change.
During this 3-day training, environmental experts and media trainers took participating journalists through a host of environmental issues and ways to highlight them through various media houses. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alaji Ev.
Now on to sports news. After a spectacular opening ceremony of Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth on Thursday night, in which Gambia was one of the 72 countries and territories announced, marched and competed in swimming on Friday morning, our sports reporter Mobudu Gajaga has more from Birmingham, England.
Well, actions have already begun as far as the athletes are concerned in the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham 2022. For the Gambia, it was Omar Dabo who competed in the 200 meters breaststroke, and we've just witnessed that. He didn't progress through the round of 16 as he fell short of the time, just a little over 3 minutes as he competed. But Omar is very much optimistic that he can do better in the 100 meters freestyle.
That's my first time to participate in Commonwealth Games, and it's a great pleasure to me, honestly speaking, to represent my country. And then the game went well, everything goes fine, and then I participated with people whom you know their level is above me, but though self-confidence and I trust myself, you know, and then I able to make it. I completed the 200 meter with a new timing. Yeah, honestly speaking, my motto is to be at the final and grab a medal, but so unfortunately that doesn't happen. I feel some little bad, but game is always like that. To lose one game, it doesn't mean that you lose everything, but it gives you hope to prepare yourself for the coming games. I have another events which I'm going to prepare myself, you know, to see myself in a level where, you know, everyone is expecting me to be.
Actions have already begun in the Commonwealth Games Birmingham 2022, and it's been exciting after that opening ceremony last night, which has been fantastic at the Alexandra Stadium. More updates on the Commonwealth Games. Thank you very much for watching, and reporting for QTV News, I am Umudu Kajaga.
Well, before we end, here is a recap of our top stories. After a very long session on Thursday, the National Assembly passed the appropriation bill, which, among other things, proposed a revision of the 2022 budget and a salary increment for civil servants. The General Legal Council of the Supreme Court of the Gambia enrolled 45 legal practitioners on Friday at the High Court complex in Banjul. The National Environmental Agency, NEA, has announced the immediate ban on the importation, sale and use of sniper insecticides in the Gambia. In another public health safety-related matter, the Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority called on stakeholders and international partners to support the government in strengthening the FSQA in enforcing food safety laws. And in sports, after a spectacular opening ceremony of the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games on Thursday night, the Gambia was one of the 72 countries and territories on parade. Well, that's it from me for this edition. Thank you for watching.